So how to make distortion for yourself to play as a game, and then to try to be able to push through that game, to be able to try to make progress in your own little business situation. Stay till the end to find out. Welcome to the news. Welcome to the news. So, today we're just trying to focus on how to connect with the insights of your own insides, to be able to show yourself the ways to give yourself some answers by creating distortion for yourself and playing a little bit of business music, creating distortion and playing business music, so that in essence you find clarity and lacking clarity in essence because you put yourself in chaos mentally. You want to put yourself in a little bit of chaos mentally, so that in essence you've got to make murky processes to be able to scoop yourself out from that. And the murkiness is what shows you clarity after all. And it's this game of continuing to play in the face of distortion that continues to enlighten you, because in essence you're trying to push through and try to find a little bit of a light on the other side. And how you do that is try to continue to put yourself in murky scenarios and situations where you cover your eyes in essence, and then at the same time, through this covering of your eyes, through this covering of your senses, you get to find ways where light peeks through in the system. In the terms of business music, you put yourself in distortion, and then you try to find clarity and clean out the sound, so that in essence you see the light at the end a little bit further down the line, so that in essence you put yourself in a dark place, in a murky place, so that you have the ability to try to see some more clarity of how to get and scoop yourself out from one place to another, so that you have just a little glimmer of light, not too much light. If you're overloaded with light, then in essence that game becomes too much light and light's everywhere. But if you put yourself in a peculiar place where you just have a little bit of light, you can only see a little shred and a little piece of light in essence through the distortion, like trying to play music among distortion and try to make it make sense of something, that in essence corresponds to being able to try to push through a lot of the distortion and the static electricity, so that in essence you come to the process of finding light, eventually finding light through looking for little answers here and there, and playing the game of looking to continue to play. That's the real actual game, is being able to know that you don't necessarily know that you're necessarily knowing where you're going to go. But in essence you keep playing and you keep looking for the light, you keep searching for the light, and the game is light. But it's always murkiness when you're first starting a business, when you're first starting a process. You're sort of buried under the murkiness, and the answers are very slim, and the process is very glum at the same time, because you're not sure where in essence your direction is moving in the direction of. And ultimately you want to be able to find certain answers, but you are buried in lacking answers. But you have to keep playing. You have to keep playing the game of playing among distortion. When you're first starting to play an instrument, when you're first starting to play the guitar, for example, you start with distortion, and then in essence you sort of clean it up. You clean it up with a few lessons, and you clean it up with some guidance and mentorship, but you keep playing. You keep playing the game. You keep playing the game of your brand new business. You keep playing the game of trying to play that business forever, basically. If that's your spirit business, if that's your spirit animal, then you keep playing it, and every single day you might feel like you're, in a pile of dust, but then you keep looking for light, because you keep digging, and you keep digging for answers, and you keep looking for bits of light and sheds of light as you continue to play your business music instrument, which is your entrepreneurship side. You continue to try to play that entrepreneurship instrument, because you're playing in distortion, you're playing among distortion, and ultimately it sounds like music to you because you hear music inside your mind. But in essence, when you play the instrument, in essence it still continues to sound like distortion after all. So you're trying to clean up that distortion bits and pieces by bits and pieces, and you're looking for little bits of light, sheds of light, as you continue to take different avenues and take turns and treks down different directions, especially in nature, to try to find new answers. Because ultimately it's a lot of murkiness, it's a lot of lacking clarity, but little bits of light sometimes pop out. And in essence, you just have to continue to show up. You're not trying to look at the scoreboard. You're not trying to make goals all the time necessarily. You're not trying to be a high-level soccer player on day one necessarily. You're just trying to learn how to shoot the ball and pass the ball and dribble the ball. It's very much relevant to be able to try to adjust to different stages in growth, at different stages and places in time, to be able to just enjoy the process and play the game and want to continue to play the game at different stages. And that's the fundamental interest, is you're not looking at the scoreboard. You're not comparing yourself to like Elon Musk at all given times, because you're not necessarily in the same field of skill level and or thought or mindset, which in essence comes from different avenues of being in the game over different elements of time, because compound interest grows, and compound interest makes connecting elements of focus to be able to connect different elements and different mindsets to be able to grow and compound on top of each other over time. So entrepreneurship starts with a game of murkiness. It starts sometimes with a game of murkiness, with being in a game of murkiness, in a game of distortion, in a game of lacking clarity, in a pile of dust. It causes sometimes the little bits and the little pieces of light to be able to come through those cracks, so that you can follow the little pieces of light to be able to move forward, to be able to try to make certain advances, to try to be able to have the ability to just see continuous essences of light, pieces and streams that come on a day-to-day basis from showing up to try to play the game of pursuing your spirit business, your spirit animal business, your entrepreneurship business, which is known as business music in essence. Whether it's playing an instrument itself or actually pursuing a business or a business interest, it's pursuing the small streams of light that are constantly coming from being covered by dust, and then every single day being recovered by dust because you found shreds of light and you were able to uncover it, and then you're able to stack those shreds of light. But it comes in shreds, it comes in small pieces, so that in essence you're obligated to try to push around those pieces and shift around and move around those pieces, so that in essence you've got the ability to be able to continue to fish for light. But you have to continue to play the game. Every single day playing the game is not about making numbers on the scoreboard. In other words, it's not about money. It's about looking for light. It's about looking for light, and that's not measured by a scoreboard. That is measured in the essence of showing up and liking playing the game of looking for light, because nobody in the world is necessarily paying for light. That's a spiritual finance game. Everybody's interpersonal journey of looking for light is a different form of light. Money, in the sense of money and monetary energy, is the same for everybody in the global economy, because everybody he speaks that language of money. But light is a different language for every single person, and light comes in the form of a different methodology for every single person's value, which is internal in an interpersonal way, so that in essence creates the value for every single person's individual journey to be unique, and an experience that's among a unique fingerprint for every single person who's in every single person that wants to go on an entrepreneurship journey, that speaks to the essence of pursuing an essence of purpose and a personal brand for every single person, because that personal brand light of what they're pursuing and trying to shed light upon is different for every single person. So just a matter of showing up for that game, showing up to play that game every single day, showing up to play that game every single day is the essence of the scoreboard in essence. That's the essence that creates your own scoreboard. It modifies your own scoreboard, your own game, your own process that may or may not lead to being able to play for money someday. But regardless, you have to show up to be able to play the game every single day, to be able to make enough skills, to be able to enhance enough skills, to eventually be able to try to refine an ikigai process to maybe a time that you can sell something in the marketplace. Maybe not, but you have to want it enough to be able to play it for 10,000 days straight. Continue to play it for 10,000 days straight, no matter what, because you just want to lean into that problem, a large enough problem in the world to be able to try to add value in the world is best enough to be able to bring value and cause the essence of value to be added to the whole world, so that in essence you're playing the game of fishing for light in essence. Even though you're buried by certain aspects of lacking in money and such things, you have to show up for the game of trying to fish for light and add value to the world and make sacrifices on other things in life, so that in essence this light also comes internal and it also goes external sometimes, so that other people around you also, in a spiritual finance way, it's a way to profit and benefit from spiritual finance. And playing the game of entrepreneurship is you're shedding light on other people. Your light sometimes spurts out of yourself and cracks from yourself to different ways, to where you're shedding light and you're shedding value on other people by recycling and repurposing and reinvesting that asset energy from yourself within yourself, and then it spurts out of yourself like cracks of light, and it leaks out and sheds light onto other people in life. And so that therefore is a spiritual finance form of profit. It's a form of profitability. It's a form of experiencing profitability, which sheds light on moving the process forward, and sheds light on tomorrow, and sheds light on the day after that, and sheds light on continuing to play the game, where you're constantly feeling like you're constantly every single day in a new stack of dust, where in essence you're looking for the new cracks of light every single day, and then day by day or week by week or year by year, new essences of little formations and essences of light are able to leak together and spread together and form essences that they themselves are able to make new essences of light connections and light growth in terms of compounding light, in terms of compounding light energy in the form of mathematics and the form of spiritual finance compounding, more or less. So you just have to show up to play the game of looking for light. Show up to play the game of looking for the light in the murky dust avenue in the murky dust basement when sometimes it looks that way, because sometimes light has a way of finding its way in, more or less. And that's the nature of the natural spiritual finance game. You're not looking on the scoreboard of money. You're not looking at the scoreboard of money to try to make new metrics in the scoreboard of money metrics. You're playing the game of making your own game, of developing your own game, of searching for light, because that's an interpersonal game for all people. A game of finding a purpose inside of the game by developing a way to shed new light while being in a pile of dust. That more or less corresponds to the actual game itself, where in essence you enjoy the pile of dust because it causes the light to be able to present itself to you in small cracks, and that therefore sheds light on the opportunity to take new path steps forward, and that therefore continues to add light on edifying and repurposing and re-evolving the process, so that in essence you're not looking at the scoreboard of money. You're never needing to look at the scoreboard of money. You're just counting the strips of light that you feel you are finding, because in essence it's a gratifying process. Once you find the entrepreneurial process of playing for business music and playing for the essence of finding light through the essence of playing the business music game on a day-to-day basis, you're evolving to a certain extent where you're playing the game of playing your own interpersonal game, and it's fun and interesting because you're adding value to the rest of the world, and you're solving problems, because that's what entrepreneurship does. It solves problems, and you're adding philanthropy energy to the world, and you're adding philanthropy energy to the global philanthropy energy grid, which all human beings are able to benefit from, just like a solar energy battery power system that powers the whole grid. And this in essence empowers the one who stops chasing the game of metrics, because evolution is really a game of constant evolution, where you're just focusing on light, and you're immersing in light, and you're basking in light in little pieces at a time that come through, like finding gold flakes in a pile of dust at the same time. In a very similar fashion, you're panning for gold flakes of light in this game of spiritual finance, light searching, light enhancing, where you're playing the game. You have to show up to play the game every day, because that's how you get better. And the rest of the world doesn't even know you're playing your own game, because you're becoming a better entrepreneur. And at the same time, eventually, sometimes you shed more light on other people, and then you're surprising yourself, you're surprising other people, and the spiritual finance mathematics works itself out, because you're not playing the game that everybody else is playing, so you're inventing your own game by proxy, by looking for the light on a day-to-day basis, and you're not getting discouraged because you're getting better at a certain process, because you're playing the game. You're not focused on the metrics. You're not focused on your output of social media, although you're just trying to record an output of social media. You're not trying to necessarily make a reference on social media to the amount of social media output or numbers in terms of the day-to-day numbers that you're tracking in terms of what number you're at on a day-to-day basis as a conceptual accomplishment. You're just trying to basically monitor and journalize the progress that you're making in the game that you're playing. Do little bits of journalism of the game that you're playing, and just keeping track of yourself as continuing to play the game as a source of accountability to do certain aspects of social media, so that in essence is journalism, that in essence it corresponds to accountability of continuing to play the game, to continue to look for specks of light and flecks of light like gold dust in a pile of dust that is normal dust, to be able to try to find gold flecks of gold light in those piles of dust, to be able to continue to add value to yourself, like little gold flakes that also have value in the actual marketplace, that add up to little bits of actual gold, adding up in a monetary sense in a certain way, because that's what spiritual finance is all about, is finding ways to add value to humanity, finding ways to shed philanthropy energy to the world, which is reflecting off of those gold flakes and those gold dust and the gold dust pieces in those regular dust piles on a day-to-day basis. And when you're in the dark, that's the only way that you can see little pieces of light that are the littlest pieces that are able to provide leads for continuing to follow those for different paths to be able to move into for tomorrow, to be able to play the game tomorrow, to be able to follow those little light pieces that are sort of guiding and shedding light on the way, on the pathway. That's all for now. Let's focus on clearing the animal shelters, and clearing the world for animals to have better lives as well, and trying to help the world through clearing the animal shelters and helping fostering shelter animals at the same time, because fostering saves lives, and we need to make a better world for the animals in the world, so that in essence we have a better world for humans, to be able to pave the way for ourselves, to be able to make more philanthropy energy and more philanthropy energy for the global philanthropy energy grid, to be able to pass that electricity of philanthropy energy to the whole world, including for animals. Animals are a part of our ecosystem. Animals should be benefiting from the process of our human energy collection and collectivity, to be able to benefit the process for a global humanity and animal humanity society cohabitation process. That's all for now. Thanks again, Dink Tech by Peace by Dink Tech Change for Games, Dink Tech Change for Games Studios by Peace by.